All right, then. This is not going to be fun. But let's get into it. Let's look at the warm down for Man United versus Tottenham. Energy. Energy. It feels so bad to be talking about energy in a game of football because energy should be a given. There should be no reason why you don't have the energy. Every game requires it. And especially in the stage that we're at, where we're trying to build and improve this team, it is so vital that you come and apply yourself because you're not going to iron out the game. There's going to be kinks there. You've got to have the energy to make up for that. This game was easy to explain. The opportunity was there. You're level on points with Tottenham. You can leave them behind, pull yourself closer, and it just wasn't there. And this is a repeated issue. It happens maybe week on week and then months apart, but it keeps coming back. And it's such a fundamental principle of any team. You can throw tactics in the bin for a second, like you've got to run, you've got to have energy, you've got to want to win the ball before the opponent. And if you're not going to do that, then you can't succeed. You can't expect to succeed. Doesn't matter what tactical lineup or what great plan you devise, if you're not going to run and challenge and try and match or even overpower the opponent, you're not going to succeed. Once again, fragility issues came home to roost. It was just a carbon copy of things that we've seen so many times. It's the same issue over and over again. We get a new manager and it doesn't seem to change. I look at it and I think, you're 3 minutes in, you've got the ball. Okay, you lose it, it's a poor loss of possession. But how can you let someone travel 60 yards up the pitch without tackling him? Just foul him. Just foul him. That's what I would do. If he ran too far, I'm sliding in there, I'm getting an early booking and I'm shouting at everyone around me. He shouldn't be able to run more than 20 yards before he's either getting tackled or has to stop and turn around or pass the ball. It can't happen. And the way I look at it with that is, if you're Ten Hag, there's no injuries here, really. I know the new style of play, it takes some getting used to, but that doesn't affect energy. There's players that, I believe in all over the pitch. I think there's players that he can believe in all over the pitch. You look at that back line, you can trust all them. I think even the rest of them, maybe Rashford is a bit sort of hit and miss, but I think the manager can trust them, and we're just not seeing it. Um, why is this happening? I really can't understand it. The way we start games and the way we start the second half, it just can't be defended, and it has to change. Now, I want to talk about the front line, which might seem like a weird thing to do when you've lost 3-0, but I feel like the front line actually is a key sort of point as to why this game unfolded the way it did. By front line, I don't mean Xerxes necessarily, although I will talk about him because he's the only striker we've got, but I'm really talking about Rashford and Garnacho now. When you put them on the wings, everything is more direct and they force things. If you get them in behind, they can cause damage. I mean, they are dangerous, and there were some good moments that they had within the game. And I'd even argue maybe it is the right approach for Tottenham. They play that high line. You want to get in behind, that's where you can hurt them. The right sort of selection with the right application of tactics and looking at it correctly, how you can get them in behind. You can't just keep forcing it. You can't keep knocking balls in there. If you are going to knock a ball, it's got to go high and over the top at least. Make the goalkeeper come out, make a defender run back. It's got to go into the channels, into spaces. We couldn't seem to pull it off, and the problem with that is that if these types of passes don't come off, Rashford and Garnacho just don't offer much else really, or they're not offering much else at the moment. I think the first goal is a prime example of the issue that you have when you start together. I think Rashford comes across and I think he's looking to give it to Garnacho, get a layoff, and then knock it past the defender, and he's then heading towards the box. Good idea, but the way Garnacho plays, he sees Rashford on the ball, he starts going. He starts running for the box himself. That's what they do. They don't really time it well. They charge forward. They're looking for any opportunity, and they kind of play a numbers game. How many times can I get near the box? and that will be enough eventually to get me a chance and get me a goal. Now, that's why I think we have actually seen Ahmad start quite often, and I think when he does play, we are much more secure because he doesn't just charge forward at will. I think he has a bit less end product, but he's much more thoughtful. He holds the ball well, and it means the game doesn't become so stretched. I think it means Mazraoui is a bit better protected, because I think against the pace he was playing against, Mazraoui did struggle. And I think we play our best at the moment with Ahmad in the side because he's got that control. He doesn't always want to run. He wants to get close and play off other players and move the ball and share the ball. And with that, it actually makes us more defensively secure, because we're not having this end-to-end game that as soon as Ten Hag picked Rashford and Garnacho, we effectively signed up for. Now on Xerxes, I think Xerxes is struggling. I think Ten Hag said that he needed time. And if you look at his Bologna career, the first season never really got going. And I think that is the sort of player that he is. I think he's quite a particular player, but if you can get the best out of him, I think he offers something interesting to your squad. Whether he's a starting 11 player, I think that's a different question. I just think the pace is too much for him. I think he likes to play a certain way and find these gaps, but the movements he makes have to be quicker for him to find those spaces. I think he's just not getting there. I think at one time I even saw Bruno telling him where to stand, and he actually won the ball back, because I just don't think he's up to speed with it. I don't think he's a goal scorer. I don't think he sets himself. Kobbie Mainoo gave him a great chance, and it would have been a great chance if he was on his toes looking for it, but I think he's got other things on his mind. And I think for that reason, he needs to be a sub. He needs to be brought in, or he needs to play with a striker for him to really succeed. All right, the big one, Erik Ten Hag. I've been a Ten Hag fan, and I won't call for the manager to be sacked. I don't believe in that as a fan. I don't believe in putting out that negativity about my own team. I think we need to support the team on the pitch game by game, because that's what fans should do. But we can't defend the manager endlessly, even if we're not going to criticise him. I can't always defend what I'm seeing, and this is a perfect example of something that is, as the review said yesterday, indefensible. It's the same issues, and I think we've gone over that ground. End-to-end football, no control, not enough energy. But going back to 20 on Thursday, what Eriksen said after 20 shouldn't be said this early in the season. He was saying they wanted it more than us. We're 7 games in and you're going in a post-match press conference comfortable enough to say that. That lets me know that in the dressing room, people are getting way too comfortable with that sort of mentality. Why have all the positives disappeared since Palace 2 games ago? Why can't the players stick to the game model? Injuries, as I said, are not an issue now, and coaching progress does seem to be there from the stats, but that just went out the window the last 2 games. We started having less possession, we started allowing more shots, we're having less control, completing fewer passes. It just really does not look like a team that is responding the way it was just 1 week ago, and that is puzzling. I think Erik Ten Hag is genuinely under a lot of pressure now. Now, this morning, the club have apparently said, or people inside the club have said, that they still believe that the changes they made need time to bed in. But I think part of that is the alternatives do not look good. I mean, there's no manager who is available now who wasn't available in the summer. So what is the sense then in making a change now? And again, the idea of Gareth Southgate is popping up again. That makes me sick. That might be enough to send me into another dimension, because I can't believe that anyone will actually think that Gareth Southgate is the solution to this. I would have 10 years of Erik Ten Hag before I'd have 1 year of Southgate. This needs to get back on track, or he will be sacked. I hope it doesn't come to that. Let's see what Porto brings on Thursday.